I'll send a text. It gets read. Then nothing for 6 hours. You tell yourself they're busy. But somewhere in the back of your mind, a quiet alarm is going off, and you're not sure if you should trust it. Most people don't announce that they're losing interest. They don't sit you down and explain it. Interest fades the way a fire dies out, quietly, one small log at a time, until one day the warmth is just gone. By then, it's usually already too late to do much about it. The good news is that the signs are almost always there long before the ending. You just have to know what to look for. Today, you're learning 5 signs someone is pulling away, what's happening underneath when they do it, and what to do about it before it's too late. Number 5, their curiosity about you. Disappears early on, this person probably asked you 100 questions about your life, your family, and your Sundays. Curiosity is one of the clearest signals of interest because your brain naturally wants more information about someone it finds valuable. So when that curiosity dries up, it matters. Imagine a coworker who used to ask about your weekend every Monday and now just says, "Hey," before looking back at their screen. That shift feels small, but it's often one of the earliest warning signs that something has changed. Here's your tip. Ask yourself honestly, how many questions have they asked you about your life this week? If the answer is close to 0, that's valuable information. Real interest is rarely one-sided for long. It tends to grow on both sides or fade on both sides together. Number 4, their responses get shorter and colder. A message that used to come back with 3 thoughtful paragraphs now comes back with a single word. It's not that they can't write more, it's that they're no longer motivated to. Effort works like currency in relationships. When people are interested, they spend it freely. When interest fades, they begin rationing it, much like someone stops putting gas into a car they're planning to sell. Here's your tip. Watch the gap between the effort you give and the effort you receive over time, not just on one bad day. Everyone has off days. What matters is the pattern over several weeks. If that gap keeps getting wider, that's the real signal, not one short reply. Number 3, they stop making future plans with you. Early on, people who like you naturally talk about the future. They say things like, "We should try that place next month." But as interest fades, that language quietly disappears. Specific plans become vague promises. Maybe sometime replaces next Friday. People make concrete plans for the things they genuinely value. When something has quietly become less important, they tend to leave it open-ended. Here's your tip. Listen for certainty, not just mentions of the future. We're going to, and we might, I guess, sound similar, but they communicate 2 completely different levels of commitment. Number 2, physical affection becomes rare or feels obligatory. Touch is one of the most instinctive ways humans express closeness. When someone is genuinely interested, affection usually happens naturally and effortlessly. When that interest begins to fade, physical affection often becomes rare, brief, or one-sided. One person reaches for closeness while the other simply tolerates it. Picture a couple who once sat shoulder to shoulder on the couch but now sit on opposite ends, separated by an arm's length of empty space that no one intentionally created. Here's your tip. Notice who usually initiates closeness. If it's consistently you, followed by a lukewarm response, that imbalance is worth paying attention to. Number 1, they stop trying to resolve conflict with you. Early in a relationship, disagreements usually lead somewhere, an apology, an explanation, or a meaningful conversation, because the connection feels worth protecting. When someone stops defending themselves, agrees with you just to end the conversation, or says it's fine when it clearly isn't, that isn't always maturity. More often, it's disengagement. You can't really be hurt by losing something you've already decided isn't worth fighting for. Here's your tip. Watch whether conflicts still lead to real resolution. Do disagreements end with meaningful conversations or sincere apologies, or do they simply dissolve into silence? If every conflict fades away without resolution, that's not peace. It's often someone quietly checking out. Conclusion. Losing interest almost never happens all at once. It happens through small, quiet moments, a question that doesn't get asked, a reply that gets shorter, a future that stops being mentioned, a touch that never happens, or a conflict that never gets resolved. None of these signs alone necessarily means it's over, but when several of them begin forming a consistent pattern, that pattern is often telling you the truth long before anyone says it out loud. Trust that quiet alarm a little more than you have been. The sooner you recognize the pattern, the sooner you have the opportunity to talk about it, address it, or make peace with it instead of being blindsided later. Pay attention to the quiet signs. They're usually much louder than they seem.
Don't forget to subscribe to the channel.